The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 141.
141.
What's our topic?
This is reprogramming your mind.
Cool.
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
All right. Well, before we hop into it, anything from last week that you want to talk about?
Yeah, first I want to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2022.
Yeah.
We hope that for all of you that it is a wonderful, prosperous, healthy, happy, peaceful year. Mm-hmm. Yes. The healthy part, especially right now, I think. Yeah. We all need.
I'm over it.
Yeah. So anyways, last week we did Everything Happens for a Reason. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to read a message from Charlie because Charlie, last week we had answered his question. And so he said, great episode this week. I learned a lot and I could hear my granddad speaking through you guys, even though you didn't pick my reading about him. So I put a post up in our discussion group. Always the people can submit their readings for the show. And Charlie's is on there, but I didn't pick it for last week. But when I was answering his question about how to deal with people that you don't click with, I could feel these messages coming in for him. And I even said that I feel this message coming, and they kept coming in. I'm like, okay, we can't take the whole show to talk to Charlie. So I thought that it was cool that he recognized that those
that was
were
his
messages.
Grandfather?
His grandfather, yeah. So he said, it was crazy. It was like everything I've been thinking about since my encounter with my family was answered this week on the episode. It's divine timing by the universe, honestly, and I appreciate it. And thank you for answering my question.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. So, I wanted to read that. I also wanted to give an update on the dad story, that there's no update. I wish I had one, but I haven't heard anything back from him yet. Yeah. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this. You and I had talked about it, and I said maybe I'll wait a month and then I'll try again, reaching out, because I got his address off of the internet. You can find anything on the internet.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe he moved.
It's possible.
I don't know. So, but
right.
Anyways, there's no update there. But I had quite a few people that had talked to me about that through the week and were like, "Oh, we need updates." So,
well, you could try reaching out to what would be your half sister.
I could, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
see.
I don't know what the best route is.
We'll see. And then the other thing that I wanted to give an update on, because I think this is something I need to give a continuous update on to show how this works of the predictions that I get. So this was, we've been talking about this earthquake that I've been feeling coming for a while.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing this song, Peter Gabriel's Shock the Monkey. I've been hearing it a lot lately, and I had mentioned it to you, and I'm like, I don't know where this fits in. What does that mean? And I had looked it up, what the song, what he wrote it about, and it's jealousy in a relationship or whatever. So I'm like, oh, that's not it. So what is it about? Well, I started reading the lyrics, and I think this is another song that they're using for me for earthquakes. Because some of the lines, the first lines, it's cover me when I run, cover me through the fire. Something knocked me out the trees, now I'm on my knees. But the part that really got me was kind of with Staying Alive. It's too much at stake, ground beneath me shakes, and the news is breaking. So I think that that's what this is. So I wanted to throw this out and say to everybody, I think that they're using this song for that as well. And I think, I'm not trying to scare anybody that lives in the area. This is something that happens here.
Right.
It just becomes a part of living in California.
Yeah.
But, if you live in Southern California, take these things. If you hear them, these songs that I'm talking about and different things, take them as your preparation too,
Yeah.
So I wanted to give that.
Cool.
And then we answer 2 questions every week from our listeners. This week, I am going to answer the 2 questions we're going to answer, and the reading we're going to do are all from the same person.
Oh, cool.
This is Norma. She had left 2 questions and a reading. So this is the Norma week. So
all right. Thanks, Norma.
Yes, thanks, Norma. Let's answer her first question. What are some good focus points when meditating? I find it difficult to focus. Is it possible I self-sabotage meditating? I think everybody
I totally
self-sabotages.
relate. I understand.
One of the most common mistakes that I hear when it comes to meditating is how long people are trying to do it for. Like, I'll ask people, especially like when I mentor, how long are you meditating for? Oh, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. I don't even meditate for that long most of the time. My meditation, I meditate a few times a day, but usually the first time is in the morning in the shower. And I feel myself like coming and going out of it. You know, you're with it for a little while and you're in tune and you're totally connected. And then boom, something knocks you out of it because you're having your own thoughts coming in, you know. That's normal. It's okay for that to happen. What you have to do is bring yourself back to center. So I think people expect too much out of themselves. They're expecting to like be like a monk or, you know, Buddha or something and sit there and and not think anything. And that's not it. I really have only gotten to the point where I can shut all the thoughts out. Like, I've only gotten there in the last few months where like sometimes I'm like, there's literally no thoughts. Like, the only thought I'm having is that there's no thoughts. And I think that's a good, you know, point to hit, but it takes a long, long time of focus and doing that constantly. So be gentle on yourself, you know, when you're doing this. When your mind wanders, bring it back to center. Your mind might wander 100 times in 5 minutes. It just is what it is. You just got to keep bringing it back. Okay, back to focus. And every time that you bring it back to center, it should take you longer before you know, kind of fall out of it again the next time. If you're doing it right, if you're starting to like get with it, because sometimes it's all about breathing too, you know, and you have to do your deep breathing and get all into it. So it just takes time, you know?
That's always been a struggle for me, just the silent, you know, stand still kind of meditation for that very reason, because it's not that it's not beneficial. I think there should always be, even if it's 2 minutes, 30 seconds, where you can sit in quiet and just breathe deep and just kind of focus on your breath. That's good. If you can do it for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, that's even better.
Oh, sure.
But like Norma's saying, it's that challenge of shutting your thoughts off, but that's part of that exercise of gaining control of yourself. And it's like a muscle. But there's also other types of meditation that, for me, I feel like I get a lot more connection and sometimes even messages when I'm doing something that's detaching my mind from being able to think those thoughts.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I'm sitting and playing music, I'm opening a doorway, in essence, for something to come to me. You know, so I'm blocking out those thoughts. I'm not thinking about, you know, bills and responsibility and strife and struggle, whatever it is. I'm thinking solely about what sounds best. That's one example. With doing art, for me, is another way that I'm having thoughts, but they're not the thoughts that I normally have when I'm sitting totally still trying to be quiet. They're constructive thoughts that I'm having. And it's like I'll be doing something and thinking, oh, this is the next move that I'm going to make on this piece, and then something about my life is thrown in there.
Absolutely,
And it's I tell Samantha this a lot, is that I know I heard things today and I don't remember half of them. Because they're thrown in like, oh yeah. And because they have my attention, they have my full undivided attention at that point, where they're sharing with me even what I'm going to do next in a painting. Like, what do you think about trying this? Oh yeah, that's great. And then they'll share something about my life or somebody in my life, and it's again sort of like a, oh yeah, okay. And then I forget it. You know, but so that is other forms of meditation too. If you're a dancer, I couldn't tell you all these examples, but things that you can do that preoccupy your conscience, right?
Yeah.
So your subconscious can kind of come forward, if that is a good explanation.
Yeah. And I think, like, okay, if you're wondering what's it supposed to feel like or sound like how do I don't know how to explain this, but breathing, I was talking about breathing and how important that is. If you can't like clear your mind and you're like, how do I make the thoughts disappear? Focus on your breath. Think about, you do the deep breath in and the deep breath out.
Yeah.
And what I do actually is I picture clean air coming into my nose, because I breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Yeah. So that the clean air goes in the nose, and out the mouth comes the dark air, the unmeditated air, the unbalanced chakras,
right.
you know? And I just picture that every breath that I take, that black becomes a little bit clearer.
Right.
And so you're occupying your mind with something else that isn't your own thoughts. Because, like I said, it being crickets is probably going to be really take you a long time to achieve that kind of goal, you know, if ever.
Yeah.
And like for me, that wasn't really a goal. And every time that I do it, it's only like 10, 15 seconds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no thoughts at all. What happened? But another point something that you said was about the quiet, like the silence. And so I would say meditating in silence is really hard. Like for me, and that's maybe because I love music so much, but I meditate to music most of the time.
Yeah.
Some mornings, I always, like in the morning, I listen to music. That's how I start my day, and I do readings. So I have my headphones in every morning. Sometimes a song will catch me so strong that I will stop and I will meditate right there.
Right.
And music just has a way of doing that.
That does that to me too.
Yeah.
Where I'll take that moment to just go, ooh, I get in the chills and I'm feeling it, you know, instead of like rushing off to finish what I was doing. It's like, dude, it's only 3 minutes. Just enjoy it. Stop and listen to it.
Yep.
And feel it for a minute. But you used to share ideas with me about meditations that you would do, like a rooting type of meditation where you're kind of picturing roots that are growing out of your feet, you know, and into the ground, and firmly planting yourself into the ground. You know, it's grounding. Sorry, not rooting. Same difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, grounding you into the earth, and then you could kind of maybe picture then branches coming off of you and leaves, and you're flourishing. My whole point here is that, again, it goes back to giving your mind something to do.
Yeah.
Even while you're meditating. Because for me, I got to be honest, that complete, utter silence without music or some sort of focus in my mind, whether I picture myself walking along this path or doing a grounding meditation like I was just saying, it's giving the conscious something to focus on while the subconscious gets to work.
Right, exactly.
Maybe some people that are really into meditating might hear this and totally disagree. That's okay.
Yeah, everybody has their own thing.
Everything works different for everybody. So try what works best for you.
Yeah.
Even if it's gardening. When you're gardening, try to imagine, you know, being connected with the spirit, with the earth.
Yeah.
And using that time as a gardening as a meditative thing for yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't just have to be labor, you know, and planting and seeding and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Absolutely. We could go on and on and on about meditating. But I hope that answered that question for you, Norma. And then her second question was, what helps overcome that fear of uncertainty that comes with spiritual growth?
Well, I had an uncertainty when I wasn't awoken to this. So
yeah, right.
I think there's always a level of uncertainty, and that's where you have to, like, any faith, anything you believe in, you have to believe that even though there's uncertainty and you don't know, I didn't know any of this stuff was going to happen to me.
Yeah. I think time is really one of the biggest things, because for me, what helps me to not be as fearful as I used to be is that I can see in retrospect that I saw things coming, you know, I knew that these things were coming. And so that helps me to down the road, not worry so much, you know, okay, well, you can see how this worked out. you know, all of these things that one thing after the other that they worked out, right? The things that I was fearful of. Okay, well, why was I so fearful? Mm-hmm. Because that's what I'm trained for, kind of. And we'll talk about that in the episode today, actually. But I really think that the biggest thing with this is just time and learning to that, you know, how the spirits work, how the spiritual world works, and letting yourself kind of like give into that. Mm-hmm. And once you start to give into that, I think the fear lessens. But like you said, I'm not sure that the fear ever goes away completely. I think that that's a part that comes with being human, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you read Ultimate Enlightenment, sure, maybe, but you know, that's
the part that's going to make you rely on hope and faith the most is the uncertainty. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we woke up if we were the day we were born, it was put into our consciousness everything that was ever going to happen to us, we would live a lot of life in worry,
right?
Without understanding why that had to happen or why it was going to happen,
right? We
would not only live in worry, but we would be bored.
Oh, yeah.
Because nothing would be exciting knowing that, wow, I had no idea that was coming along in my life. And here, boom, it happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the uncertainty I think it's perception. You got to look at it as like, is uncertainty a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah. It's a lot of trust, and it's a lot of putting your trust into the universe and saying, okay, well, I've seen how my life has developed, and I've seen what happens when I surrender and I allow this spiritual growth to happen and how it changes my life. And so I'm going to continue to allow the universe to do this. And how they're going to do this, I don't know. I'm just going to allow it. It takes a lot of faith to really get there, you know, to see that they will make everything work out for you the way that it's supposed to. You know, you just have to trust and have faith in all of it.
And
easy.
And it's not easy. No. You know, it really isn't. But if we woke up every day, you know, Dolores said this in one of her books, that if we woke up every day in the same dimension and on the same plane as God, and we're literally standing next to our Creator every day, we wouldn't strive. Right. We wouldn't work hard.
Right.
And our species would... that would be our demise.
Yeah.
There would be no effort to work hard.
Yeah, for sure.
And to have that trust and that faith. Mm-hmm. So part of that uncertainty is there by design.
Right. Yeah. Agree.
Truly is.
Yep.
So.
Totally agree. So I hope those answered your
Thanks,
answered
Norma.
your
those
questions.
are very great questions.
Weren't they? Yeah, that's why I thought I'll just lump this all together for her, you know, and then we'll do her reading now. And so this, she said, my grandmother, Carmela, passed 25 years ago. I want to know if she's around me and how can I recognize her? It's been a long time and the memories with her have faded. Any advice I can get from her in regards to my mom? Okay, so let's talk to Carmela. That's her.
Grandma?
Yep, Grandma.
Is that her with Grandma?
I'm assuming, yeah. I didn't ask, but I'm going to assume. Okay, let me connect. 1 second. So she's the type of grandma that was kind of like no nonsense. How do I put this? She wasn't like, she didn't beat around the bush. She said it as it was. It wasn't like the sweet grandma tone that we all, you know, it's more like Roseanne is kind of what, Roseanne Barr and like that show. Kind of like that, you know, snarky but funny about it. Like she didn't make you feel bad. She just was to the point. There was no beating around the bush with her. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure because she did die very young. So I'm not sure how much of her personality you saw, but that is definitely the biggest part that I saw that stood out to me. She also loved her family and loved having grandkids. Like it was so much fun for her with you. She loved dressing you up is what she's telling me and taking you places, showing you things that, like I know that this may sound weird, but almost like that your mom didn't like appreciate when she was young. And so your grandma's like, I'm going to show you these things your mom didn't appreciate so that you do. And like trying to pass down tradition is another one. She was very strong with tradition and really was trying to pass down tradition in the family as well. Let me go back to your question. You know, I totally understand how that feels when somebody's been gone a long time and you're like, how do I recognize their energy, or somebody that you don't know very well. I think the best thing that you can do in that case is try and establish that communication with them by saying to your grandma one day, okay, let's work on this today. Let's establish, what does your energy feel like?
Right.
Give me some numbers, whatever numbers you see repeatedly all day. You know, maybe keep a journal, maybe even do this for a few days, and see, what songs she throws at you and different things. And that's how you'll kind of learn her energy and how it feels. Because like John, the guy I knew was my dad, I had no idea what his energy was like because I had never really been around him. Well, now I know, because I sat with it and I asked him and we went through that whole process. But it is something that you really do need to ask them for, because if you just feel like a presence and you're like, I don't really know who this is, right, how's that going to work? You need to know who it is. Right. So you can really go through that with anybody that's gone. What does this person feel like? And a lot of times, too, one of the big ways, for me at least, that I will notice an energy is I will actually hear their voice in my head. And I don't, like when I'm talking to a spirit, I don't hear them in their voice. I hear them in my voice. Yeah. But that's one way that they get my attention and to let me know that it's their energy that's around. So if you ever have like a random moment where you like hear her voice like clearly in your head, I would take that as being the energy around you too. These are right, ways that she's pointing out to me that you can know that it's her energy around. Let's see. And you said something about your mom. Let me go back to that. And
good point, though, that when the numbers or the songs that you ask are kind of set as this intention of communication with this spirit, is when they come up is to stop and take a moment and try to just, whatever it is, close your eyes, feel that moment.
Yeah.
So you'll recognize that energy the next time. Mm-hmm. And then you'll be able to probably feel that energy prior to the sign or the song or whatever,
Yes, totally agree with you. Totally great. Okay. Let's see. You asked any advice I can get from her in regards to my mom. All right. Let's see what she has to say. So I don't know the situation and she's not here to validate. So this probably isn't going to make sense to me or anybody else except for Norma. But what she is saying is that your mother is very set in her ways and that you can't force her to do anything. She will always be her own person until the day she dies. And that's okay, she says. She said, you can't expect for her to change now. She's too old for that. She's too set in her ways to change. And that's okay too, Let's see what else she has to say about it. So just be patient is what she's saying. Try not to let it bring you down so much. Try not to let it lower your vibration is what I'm feeling when you have these moments with her or whatever it is that's going on. Because I feel like she's somewhat of an energy vampire for you that, talking to her, being around her, these things that afterwards you're just drained. You're just exhausted. Try, when those things happen to realize that is her. It has nothing to do with you. That's her energy. And try and get rid of it. That's a good time to meditate. But you have to be in your life for you. And yes, she's your mother. And yes, of course, you're going to be concerned about her. But this is your life. And your grandmother is saying that you need to be happy in your life and not put so much focus on somebody else that is so set in their ways. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure she'll give us feedback and explain it because I don't know what it's about. But yeah. That's anyways, cool. So there we go.
Thanks, Norma and Grandma.
Yes, Carmela. Thank you.
Carmela.
Yes, Carmela. Thank you so much for the questions, too. We really appreciate that.
Good ones.
And then the last thing that I want before we get into the episode is just to say that heaven has Betty White now.
Yay. That was a big party when she arrived.
Yeah, you know what? I bet it was. I really bet it was. And it was sad for those of us here because she was such an icon and she left us. And, I think it was a good way to exit 2021 by, if we would have started 2022 with her leaving, people would be like, oh my gosh, we started the new year like this. But she went out. She's like, I'm taking this year with me.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you for being a friend.
And a pal and a confidant. Okay. Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. Wow, then episode 141, Reprogramming Your Mind.
Reprogramming Your Mind. So this may be a two-parter now that we've got a half hour in, but there's a lot of information definitely to get into with this. But if you are on this spiritual journey, wherever you are in the spiritual journey, truly I feel that reprogramming your mind is essential because without doing that, I don't see how it's possible to go on the journey because you're dealing with so many things like, okay, I'm 44 years old. Okay. I've taken on 44 years of what society has thrown at me, what old beliefs that I have from when I was a kid. This is for all of us. Okay.
Right.
Some of us have shorter amount of time that we have these kinds of things that have built up. But I think the older you are, the more you have that's built up of things that have been thrown on you that aren't your own things and that you have to get rid of. And that makes this spiritual journey hard sometimes. It does, because it really, I think when it comes to reprogramming your mind, one of the biggest things is actually accepting that you're not perfect and that you have to change these things about yourself to have a happier life. And that can be really hard. It can be hard to face these things.
And you have to accept that wherever you are in your life, what has happened to you or even what you have done can't be undone.
No. Yeah. Voltaire said, the most important decision you will ever make is to be in a good mood. And so I think a good place to start this episode is with when you first wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And you've said this a million times, is that when you wake up in the morning, you need to be happy and approach the day with confidence. And, for me, like, if I wake up, we all wake up sometimes feeling like, another day or whatever. Sometimes I almost feel like I got trapped in a bad dream and I'm like waking up stuck in it, Yeah. So you just wake up a little bit grouchy sometimes.
Sometimes just the repetitiveness of life,
right?
Day after day can do that. But that's how kind of subtle it can begin, where you slip into that way of thinking.
Yep. Yeah, you have to start it more with the positive thoughts than another day or, oh my gosh, it's Monday. No, wake up and be more positive. Like, okay, well, whatever is coming at me today, I've got this. I'm going to tackle this. It's going to be a good day. I'm going to make it, whatever positive thoughts. Because if you do get trapped in that cycle, and then it can be a downhill spiral from there and take your entire day out and you didn't even mean to. For no reason.
Right.
Just because you woke up, maybe, they say woke up on the wrong side of the bed. What are some reasons to reprogram your mind? I thought this was kind of important. You have a happier life.
Yeah.
Just all around happier life. Your journey on this planet, in this life, will be smoother. It will help you to understand life and people on a different level. This one has been important for me because I see people entirely different now than I used to. I see the way that they handle life and the way that they are, not so much as a personality flaw maybe for them, but as this is how their brain is programmed. And I can't help that. Right. And once you realize that you are not the direct effect of how somebody's brain has been programmed, it can help you to change the way that you view people.
Yeah.
Feeling more in control of your life. When you have control of your thoughts, you feel more in control. Let's see. Finding the real you. Reprogramming my mind, I think this has been probably one of the biggest things, has been finding my true self. Finding who I was underneath all of that damage that was done by for whatever reason,
Right.
And better relationships, healthier relationships with family, friends, spouse, whoever. it helps you to view your relationships different and address things different.
Right.
I think.
I think there's you could find a truth that you may not have come across before.
Yeah.
A greater understanding and appreciation for life itself.
Yeah.
By doing this, by taking the time to take whatever's kind of in your way that we do to ourselves through, and a lot of this is defense mechanisms.
Yeah.
That we kind of put up these walls because of our egos and our prides and our fear of, like what Norma was asking about, uncertainty.
Right.
And what's going to happen to me. And we forget about that every day of waking up and just going, well, of course, we all know, like, that phrase, you take it one day at a time, or nothing's promised to us, tomorrow's never promised. Well, of course, that's true.
Right.
That really is true.
Yeah.
So if I stopped to do that and enjoy that moment or that day just for then and not worry about
yes.
what tomorrow is. So somebody might be going, well, that's easy for you to say. I have a court date in a week. And I understand. I totally understand.
Yeah, but what are you going to do?
Right. The outcome, the uncertainty is there for a reason.
Right.
For you not to know what the outcome is until the outcome is the outcome.
Right.
It's what are you doing with all this meandering in between?
Yeah.
These moments of life that we look so forward to. What are we doing with all the time in between?
Right.
So by reprogramming our minds from a place we used to be, we can bring ourselves to a place that we then can appreciate and view and understand from a whole different perspective.
Right. Yep. I think one of the ways that we can really help to reprogram our mind is asking ourselves simple questions when we kind of feel things happening. Okay. And one of the questions, and we hear this a lot, is not why is this happening to me, but what is this teaching me?
Yeah.
When something happens to me now, that's what I go to. I go to, okay, there's a reason. There's always a reason. What's the lesson here? What is it that I have to learn about whatever it is that I'm facing right now in order to progress through this? Instead of, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Yeah.
See the difference? That is how your attitude's going to go. If you feel like you can conquer anything and be like, okay, well, what is this teaching me? Then you're going to have that confidence and you're going to be strong and go forward. But if you're always stuck in this, oh, woe is me, that's what you're going to attract. And that's how everything's going to be,
Yeah, it's sort of like when we victimize ourselves.
Yeah.
We're kind of, I guess, trying to get out of that learning process.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that all of us haven't been victimized in some way or even done it to other people in some way, but it kind of locks us and freezes us in a place where then we're going, I'm not willing to learn. Mm-hmm. I don't want, this is happening to me.
Right.
What about maybe it's happening for me?
Right.
For a reason to help me that right now seems uncertain, but again, when you use hindsight in your life, you will be shown eventually what the reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Even if you have to learn it and figure it out yourself, it will be revealed.
Yep. One of the hard things that I think comes with this reprogramming your mind, and what our listeners had brought up, is this downward spiral that can happen when you start getting in your head too much. So Jennifer said, I would be interested in how to stop the downward spiral of thoughts that keep me in victim mode, almost like in some way I think they serve a purpose. And then Hillary said, this probably would go in with Jennifer's question, but tips on how to stop the shame spiral. I feel like that is the hardest to get pulled out of sometimes. I have this, and I don't know, I'm assuming everybody does, where I'll be laying in bed and all of a sudden I'll be like, man, I shouldn't have said that thing that I said 20 years ago to that person that I don't talk to anymore. And, why do we do that to ourselves? What's the point of that? Oh, you and I were talking about this earlier, that when something happens, or, like this shaming, shaming yourself over something that you did, when you do something and it's in the past and you see in the future, oh my gosh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. You already have grown because you've recognized that is not something that you should have done or would do again.
Right.
And so you've already grown. And
right
so,
there.
yeah. So like for me, this is a problem. And I've said that. So my mom will come in sometimes and she will say to me, but look at how much you've grown since then. Would you do that now? And if you say no, then why are you still beating yourself up about this?
Right.
If you haven't changed, then it's time to change and look at this. But if you have and that's not something you would do again, then don't beat yourself up about it. It's all a part of the story, too. Right. Really, it's a part of the growth in the story.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why I said that whatever you've done or has been done to you can't be undone.
Yeah.
So you have to start right there with accepting, okay, I might be damaged goods.
Yeah.
But does that mean you're broken? No. It just means, like many of us, you have trauma that you've suffered. And maybe you've even taken that trauma and then created and directed trauma towards somebody else.
Right.
For what's happened to you.
Right.
But this is a perfect example of to catch yourself in a moment to to reprogram your mind.
Yes.
And to say, wow, okay, first of all, thank you for the hindsight and the growth to allow me to get to a point where I can recognize that may have been a not very nice thing to say to this person.
Right.
If it's the reason you don't talk to them anymore, whatever it is, you don't need to go over all that. You're acknowledging the fact that it wasn't nice, that you recognizing it means you've grown.
Right.
It's showing a level of compassion and consciousness for others.
Right.
If you've made amends to this person and it didn't get you anywhere, that's okay.
Right. You tried.
Then that means that's where it was supposed to lay.
Right.
If you made amends or this person made amends to you and it works out and everything is fine, and then that's the way it's supposed to go.
Right. Yeah.
But you're right. You can do that. You can get yourself caught in these things, and it's kind of nurturing that child.
Yes.
Because when we look back at the things that we did, when we were, say, real young, we're judging ourselves as adults.
Yes.
We're not judging ourselves at the age that we did these things.
That's right.
This is the gift of hindsight, of teaching us later on down the road what our actions may have done.
Yeah.
Or what somebody else's actions may have done. This is a good thing.
Right.
It's not meant for us to wallow and beat ourselves up about.
Yeah.
But it's there for us to recognize the growth, the change.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it the same way 10 years later, then maybe there might be an issue.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. If your life is still in the same spot and you're still in the same mindset than you were in 5-10 years ago, something probably needs to change.
Right.
On this, you can't go back and change the past. No matter how much you want to, and no matter how much you beat yourself up, you can't change it. So all you can do is learn from it and move forward with it. And one of the things that I have really come to realize is that people have different memories than you do. So like my grandmother, I love my grandma so much, but I was so mean to her when I was like 12, 13 years old because I was going through a really hard time. And she was my out because I didn't have any other place to take it out on. And I did guilt for so many years because of that. And thankfully I was able to talk to her about it before she passed. And she told me that she didn't even look at that as an issue because I was going through so much. She didn't even affect her, but that there were other things that I had done that did bother her. And she brought those up. So you don't know what somebody else is thinking and what their issues may be. So in your head, you may be like, oh man, I said this to somebody or did this. And they don't even remember that, because we carry such little memories too. Like really, I've kind of like trip out by this, that, you know, in my mid 40s, I look back and I'm like, man, I don't remember like a lot of detail that I thought I would remember. Why? Reasons, like things that I fought with people about that I'm like, I don't know what we were fighting about. We just, you know, stopped talking or whatever. What was it even about? Why did we like each other? You know, your memory has a way of doing that, you know, and everybody has their own memory. So try not to hold against people things that, you know, they may not even remember they did. And vice versa. Don't hold things against yourself that other people it may not be a big deal. Right. You know, that thing that you're laying in bed thinking, oh my gosh, why did I say that to that person? That person probably doesn't even remember that you said that to them. Mm-hmm. That has helped to free me from a lot of wasted time in my head. Yeah. Thinking about that, for sure.
And the past is the past.
Yeah.
It's not the moment.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying we should just live obliviously and do whatever the hell we want without regard.
Right.
But what's been done is done. If you're looking at it down the road with a different pair of glasses, chances are you've grown, you've changed. Right. And that's a good sign.
Right. Something that I wanted to talk about is what Sherry had said. You know what? Let me get and read what she said, because I thought that this was great. So I asked our listeners, what are some tips that you would give to our other listeners for, you know, ways that they could do this and reasons that they should do this. And Sherry said meditation will help to, you know, reprogram the brain, gratitude. But the best thing I think she said was not watching the news or violent shows. Yeah. Being around like-minded people. And then she said listening to your show, which I appreciate. Thanks, Sherry. So I wanted to talk about the news and violent shows. Yeah. Because this will suck you back into, if you know, for me, like, I used to love The Walking Dead. Loved it totally. I was like waiting for the zombie apocalypse. Now I can't really watch that kind of stuff anymore. It's not that I'm a wussy or anything. Right. It's just that I sit there and I go, what is this? Like, I don't find this entertaining. There's blood and guts everywhere, you know? It's just not, it doesn't do it anymore, you know? Your mind kind of changes and grows like that. And I remember, like, especially around September 11th, I watched the news like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and walked around in this total like fog of everything sucks. Right. Everything sucks. The world's coming to an end. And that's what these types of things will do. They will suck you in and make you feel like life is so much worse than it is. Yeah. The media has this way of making it really bad. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't watch the news. But I know what's going on in the world. Like, I am not oblivious, you know? Right. But, like, there was a time, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, that the whole thing with North Korea was really bad. And I was watching the news and, like, getting updates on this. And, like, had myself convinced that he was going to blow us up. And was so stressed about it. And then I went, what are you doing? Yeah. The only reason that you know this right now or you feel this way is because you've been watching the news. Stop it. Right. It's poison. It's poison really for your brain.
It really, really, really is.
Yeah. And I'm not telling you what to watch as far as like the violence and the gore and all that, but I think you have to be able to separate your mind and not, you know, look at that as like real life. Right. You know, I don't know. That's just not really something that I'm into anymore.
Yeah. I think reprogramming our minds is to help us, make us better. If we're going to judge ourselves consistently from the past and things that have happened, we're never going to get to that place. Right. So we got to accept, right, that these things happen in the world for whatever reason. Right. Bad things happen to everybody. Once we can get to that place, we can then, which Sherry said this was gratitude. Mm-hmm. Gratitude is probably one of the biggest things. Instead of waking up, oh, really, this again today? More like, wow, thank you. Yeah. Thank you that I actually woke up. Yeah. And that I have a job or something to do or people to talk to. Whatever it is, just thank. You know, like find the things to be thankful for. If that in itself is a challenge for you, keep trying. Yeah. Keep trying to find those things to be grateful for. Right. Because that in itself is opening the door. Right. The essence of what I believe is that there's however many souls there are, if it's infinite or whatever, we come into these lives for a couple reasons. One is that our souls need to learn. We're like little babies
Yeah.
that have to learn and go through these lives because these lives are so full of experience. However, we can't cram all the experience in one life to really be a well-rounded soul. We need to do this many times.
Right.
Unfortunately, in this process of our learning, when we come into life and live on this planet, we forget about our previous existence, where we're really from. That's on purpose, so we're not confused and, we do things then as a result of not knowing or remembering. We do things that create karma.
Yeah.
Karma is such an important element about what's swirling around this world that we can't see.
Oh, for sure.
The karma that happens to us as a result of our parents. And then what do we do with that when we're parents?
Right.
And so on and so on. This is a never-ending cycle. We have to repeat these lives for, again, two reasons: to learn and to work off the karma.
Right.
By you reprogramming your mind, you're in essence kind of chopping off a big section of karma right off the bat.
Yeah,
You're saving yourself a ton of work by understanding that it doesn't matter what happened before now. It's what's now is what is important.
Right.
So I could start today over anytime I want and realize I got to change that way of thinking. I have to stop that.
Yeah.
Because not only is it affecting me and my karma, but it's also coming out at others.
Yeah.
And it's then creating karma that, guess what?
Right.
I'm going to review myself on when I die.
Right.
And realize, I kind of missed the mark on that one. I might need to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So it's not like I'm knocking coming back to another life and learning a whole new set of lessons. It's not that at all. It's about how much negative karma am I leaving at the end of each life.
Yeah.
Is it diminishing? Is it getting less? Or is it getting greater?
Right. Right. You had mentioned the being grateful, right? And one of the things that I've done, and this may seem silly, but before I go to bed at night, I think about what I'm going to be grateful for in the morning. Like, I have this coffee that I love. It's not even really coffee. It's like almond milk, but I look forward to it every morning.
It's like liquid chocolate.
But it's good for me.
Okay.
It's better than the other stuff I used to drink.
All right.
Okay, so I look forward to it every morning, and I look forward to listening to my music in the morning. And so I think about that before I go to bed. Oh, when I get up, I get to have my coffee and I get to listen to music. Whatever it is that makes you happy. If you don't have something in the morning that makes you happy, find something.
Right.
Set something for yourself so that you can say, oh, goody, I get to wake up in the morning. Because I think that that's a trap that a lot of us fall into, is that we go, ooh, what's coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
I used to do that a lot. Ooh, what kind of fresh hell's tomorrow going to bring? I don't do that anymore. Right. I don't. And I used to also get trapped in this, when something would happen, it wasn't just one day and move on. It was like, it would stick with me and stick with me. And now I just feel the feelings and then you move on. You have to. If you keep thinking about every day the same things and being stuck in that trap, then you fall deeper and deeper into the trap. And it can be difficult. This is not easy, this whole reprogramming your mind thing. I think what it takes more than anything is for you to really, really want it, for you to feel like you want to make some changes, but it also takes willpower.
Right.
Because it means that even when everybody around you is in a bad mood and negative, that you've got to try.
Right.
And you've got to try and reprogram your mind. How would I have handled this last year? How would I have handled this a month ago? I don't want to handle it like that.
Right.
I want to be better. And then you know what? If you don't handle it the way that maybe you realize you should have, that's okay.
Right.
You have to give yourself that pass of, okay, I didn't handle it so well this time, but I'll try again and be better next time. And not beat yourself up consistently and constantly because, you know, you made a mistake, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's another thing on my list is don't talk bad about yourself, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah, what Jennifer was asking about the shaming yourself, and you have to look essentially at what is that doing for you.
Yeah.
What is getting up and looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking negative thoughts about yourself or shaming yourself about something you may have said or done, whether it was yesterday or 10 years before. What is that really going to do for you? Right. It's not going to do much. Yeah. But again, with your hindsight, if you're looking at those things kind of feeling ashamed, take a moment to pat yourself on the back and say, at least I feel freaking bad about it.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't, when it occurred, maybe I didn't feel that way at all.
Right.
But I've grown. Exactly. You're trying to find that silver lining in all of it and understanding, what is this going to do for me? So if I'm sitting here shaming myself, I've got to come to a point to accept what's been done has been done and try to find the silver lining within this and go, okay, I'm now recognizing that. Right. So when this happens again in my life, will I react different? Right. Will I do something different? Right. That's where your hindsight's going to help you. Right. Don't expect to know the answer every time, because uncertainty is there for a reason.
It is.
But when you're faced with it, you'll know. Yeah. Is lashing out and doing the same thing I did before, which brought me to feeling shame, going to do me any good? Right. Or what if I take this one chance to try a different approach? Exactly. And see how I feel tomorrow. Yeah. Or 5 years from now. Test it. Try it. Because if the one way isn't working, then try a different way. Yeah. You're trying to reprogram yourself in the way that you think and the way that you react. Yep. Because most of our emotions are reactions to things from other people.
That's right. Absolutely. And I was just going to say that, because one of the things that the traps we fall into is caring about what other people think about us. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Like, you know, for me, I love what I do and I'm so happy with this life. And if somebody comes to me and they say, your job's a joke, you're fake, you're this, you're that, I don't care. Bye. You're not meant to be in my life if you feel that way and think that way. That's how I handle it now. But if somebody would have said that to me at the beginning of my spiritual journey, it would have destroyed me. Yeah. You have to be true to yourself and be the person that you are, because not everybody, the majority of people, are not going to agree with the way you live your life. And that's okay, because we are all different. And you're not going to agree with the way that the majority of people, that way they handle their lives. This is why we're different. This is why, you know, I want to say there's so much conflict too, is that we all can't really just accept the fact that we're all our own person and we're allowed to feel the way we feel. And we're allowed to have the values and the opinions that we have without somebody else trying to come in and shove those opinions down our throat. And when you say, I don't care what somebody else thinks about me, you're changing the way that your mind was programmed to believe that it matters. And that is freeing. It's very freeing. Yeah. You know, being a psychic and coming out as a psychic taught me a lot about that, because I knew that a lot of people weren't going to get it. Right. And I actually had people that one of them was a psychic herself, but she wasn't like out of the closet about it. I just knew she was psychic because she was a friend of mine. She defriended me on Facebook after I came out about it. And it's like, okay, well, that might have upset me a few years ago, but she had a reason. Whatever the reason was, maybe she didn't agree with what I was doing. It doesn't matter. It's not for me to care, really. You know, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, of course, but I have to be true to myself and my own life. And if you don't like me because I'm a psychic, then sorry.
It's such a catch-22 with that. and I did a lot of this in my life, in my own mind, like that victimizing myself. If somebody doesn't respond to me right away, or oh, that email went to spam instead of their regular folder, and they didn't see it for 6 months, I could stew on that, right?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about that. It was like, wow, we all have to do this together. That's what makes us one consciousness, even though we all feel like we're all these individuals and we're so need to be unique, and we're walking this path on this earth alone, and all this stuff that individualizes us and builds our ego and our pride and all that.
Yeah.
The truth is we cannot learn without each other. If there was enough planets in all the universes to put one of us on each planet, so we lived a solitary life on a planet, we would learn about 2% of what we need to learn.
Yep.
We have to do this together, people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we all came from the same place. That's why we're all here in this place together. We've been other places together, but we have to do it together.
Right.
That's why our need for acceptance for one another is so strong and so important to a lot of us. It's not necessarily like caring about what somebody thinks about you. I think it's just this general need of everybody wants to be loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wishes that everybody could just love them.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are listening to this that don't feel that way at all. And that's okay. I know deep down inside, all of our souls feel that way.
Yes, absolutely.
But we really do need each other. Mm-hmm. Even the ones that we fight against or dislike the most.
Yeah.
We need them here to teach us.
Yeah.
And they need us here to teach them.
You're right.
So solitary incarnation would do us no good.
No.
Because there's nothing but billions of souls on the other side. There's no trees, there's no water, there's no toys and cars and food to eat.
Yep.
There's none of that. It's just souls together.
Yep.
This is the same thing, except now they're like, now we want to throw a little drama and a little comedy and a little action and see what you guys do with that.
Yeah.
Can you still play nice together?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't look like it, but you're going to learn how to.
Yeah.
Whether you do it in this life or the next one or 500 of them, you will learn.
Yeah, absolutely. With the same players, too.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much that we didn't even talk about. Mm-hmm. So I think we should do a part 2 of this.
Oh, yeah.
I know. But 2 things that I want to talk about first real quick is I want to challenge everybody. It's a new year, and we're talking about reprogramming your mind. So I want to challenge everybody this week to take something that is outside of your comfort zone, something that makes you reprogram your brain a little bit. I don't know. Maybe there's something that you've wanted to do that you're afraid to do and you need to just do it. Maybe there's somebody you've been meaning to apologize to and you should do it. Whatever it is that will help you to reprogram your mind a little bit, step outside your comfort zone. The universe is challenging you to do that this week.
That's a good idea.
And then I would love to hear from anybody that did this and what the outcome was.
Cool.
The other thing that I wanted to mention, I haven't even told you this, and I'm excited about this. This came to me this morning. I've had quite a few people tell me that they loved the whole music, like playlist stuff, and talking about songs that fit these areas, songs to meditate to.
Oh, okay.
So I started making like a playlist of songs that I think goes with like reprogramming your mind. And then I thought, I can do this on Spotify. I can make a playlist on Spotify and put it to the episode and say, these are the songs that, go with this. People can send me songs to add to the playlist too. So I did that today. I added for episode 141, I put a playlist, just a starting one, of songs that go with this, that maybe you can meditate to. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll latch on to some of them and they'll help you to, expand your mind. And send them, though, too, if you, I haven't quite figured out exactly how to do this yet, but for right now, there will be a link where you go and you find this podcast. There will be a link in the description of for the week to the playlist itself. And then hopefully later I'll be able to tell you. You could just search this and find it. But I put it under Spiritual Joneses and it's not coming up. So
excuse me.
Got to give me a little time on that. But I thought that would be fun.
That was a great idea.
I enjoy it. So
music is very important.
It's very important, and I think that it can help people to open their minds in a lot of different ways that they didn't think that they could. Mm-hmm. This was definitely something that the universe told me to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's just for entertainment.
No,
I think it's for a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll be posting that.
Were you going to share some of the songs right now, or no?
I can, yeah,
I'm sorry,
sure.
I thought you were going to.
You know what? I made this whole list, and then I just put it on the playlist. But so you don't have to go to the playlist. Some of the songs are Michael Jackson, "Man in the Mirror," "Feeling Good," Nina Simone, "Imagine," John Lennon, Kelly Clarkson, "Catch My Breath." Kelly Clarkson has a few songs, but in this one particular, it says, "Now that you know that this is my life, I won't be told what's supposed to be right." And I think that that's a perfect song to help people that are like stuck in this. I can't be myself, reprogramming that. My Life, Billy Joel, and your favorite, Bon Jovi, "It's My Life."
Oh.
So those are just a few of the songs on the list.
John,
you love it when I throw the
John, why do you make every list?
Because my mom loves Bon Jovi.
I'm going to throw a song out there.
Do it, please.
And this, not even for reprogramming your mind. Maybe you're just at the beginning of this point in your life where you're ready for a change. And you're waiting for something or someone to come along and show you, help you see that way. A song that really hit me was by an artist named Ian Moore. And the song is called "Blue Sky." And it's a song that I go to often. I get emotional even when I think about it. But it just is a wonderful kind of, you feel like he's asking this. I'm ready. Show me.
What was his last name?
Ian Moore.
Moore. Okay. I'll have to look up and put it on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And if you have more, give them to me because you're.
I don't off the top of my head. That just popped in my head. I love all kinds of songs, but
yeah. I mean, between the two of us, we have like all the genres covered of like the types of music. So, but also our listeners, if you have them, send them, and I'll add them to the playlist for sure.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So yeah,
cool.
So I think that's all we have time for this week, but I think that we'll follow it next week because we have so much more.
That's a good idea.
So much more. Yeah.
Cool. All right then. Well, that was good.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Before we say goodbye to everybody, would you like to share your page?
Yes, you can find me on the web, SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. You can set up appointments there and everything. I have a reading group on Facebook. It is free pet psychic and psychic medium readings by Samantha Jones. So you can search that. And we have a discussion group as well. Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses discussion group. So
cool.
Find those as well. And then you, sir.
Yes, for my art. djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram and Facebook. And those that maybe didn't hear, I did put up this week a new picture of Jerry Garcia. So please feel free to like it, comment, tell me what you think, share it with your friends, whatever.
It's great.
For the music, just still working at it and nothing really new to share there. But after the new year, now that that's all done, the holidays, I imagine we'll be getting back to work.
Yeah. Yay.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this week. We will do a part 2 then next week.
You think so? Yeah.
And cover what we didn't get to today.
Great.
And we hope everybody has a great week.
That we do.
And until next week, peace and love.